everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pilot Pass. My name is Steve Gutenberg. Who's that down there?
I'm Bethany Thomas.
Excellent. And today we have a special third member of the crew. Sir, what is your name?
Am I supposed to use an alias or no one told me about this?
You're Joe Exotic. Just move on with it.
I'm Joe Exotic.
There you
Let
go.
him out of jail. He's now at Cheers, and he is here with us today.
That's
He
right.
dyed his hair.
You're looking good. You're looking young, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all that time with the men in jail. It was great. I had a great time and
Rejuvenating with the youth.
and that woman Carol Baskin.
That bitch, Carol Baskin.
That-
Technical.
Obviously I'm not Joe Exotic then, I guess. I don't know.
And what we're not going to talk about today is Tiger King. What we will talk
That's
about
right.
today is a little show called Reno 911. Again, as we know, our show consists of talking about TV pilots, the first of any TV show that we want to talk about. This pilot for Reno 911 is entitled Pilot. It aired July 23rd of 2003 on the old Comedy Central. It was created by a Mr. Robert Ben Garant. Nailed
That's
that.
right. I was about to correct you on that if you got that wrong.
And Carrie Kinney. Tagline for Reno 911 that you'll find on all the boxes at the Blockbuster is How We Do It in Reno. Since you are our guest today, Joe Exotic or Michael, I can't tell you which one is which, but again, since you're our guest, why don't you go ahead and give us a little overview of the show?
You want me to read it or do I just kind of give my interpretation of what
Freewheeling Bob Dylan over there.
Perfect. So it's a parody essentially of like Cops, but it's in Reno, Nevada, and it follows 7 sheriff deputies who just get themselves probably into more trouble than they're trying to prevent. I didn't realize it started in 2003.
I was shocked by that too.
We're all old. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're all old.
I just thought it was earlier than that for some reason.
And the other thing I didn't realize is Carrie Kinney was one of the co-creators. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I assumed it was Thomas Lennon and Ben Garant because they're writing partners now, and they did Night at the Museum. So I just always kind of assumed it was them.
Yeah.
Although the 3 of them were on, does anybody remember The State? I think it was the MTV show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I was going through this and I was looking. And so Ben Garant, Tom Lennon, and Carrie Kinney were all on it together. All the guys from Stella were on The State. I'd completely forgotten about this. And then from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, both Joe Latrulio and Ken Marino, who plays one of the captains. So everybody except the main guy who founded the show, Alan, I can't even think of his name now.
Alan Alda.
Alan Alda, that's right.
Oh.
Alan Yarbagoo. Yeah, so everybody was pretty much from The State, and that's how they all knew each other. So
If
I thought that was
only,
pretty neat.
if only I had better friends.
I had what's his name?
Thomas Lennon.
Thomas Lennon. I would say Patrick Lennon for some reason. Did somebody say Patrick? No, nobody said Patrick.
No, Patrick.
So I had Thomas Lennon on the show the other day on my show, and I was doing research.
And what's that show called?
It's Joe Exotic Inside Joe.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Plug.
It's a autobiography podcast. But no, this is so I had him on the show when I was doing research. I didn't realize him and Carrie actually went to comedy school together or whatever. They were in a comedy group together. That's how they knew each other, and they had worked together before. I didn't realize. It still blows my mind. I didn't realize she was one of the co-creators. That's
Was
crazy.
it USCB? Is that where Thomas came up through? Was USCB
I think it's just UCB.
or UCB? What did I say? USCB? I mean USBC, the new connection type. Yeah, the Upright Citizens Brigade, I guess you should say.
That is correct. Reno 911, the series itself ran for 6 seasons. One of the reasons we want to talk about today, besides Michael getting to the chance to interview Thomas Lennon, is Reno 911 is actually back. They have brought it back for a little thing called Quibi. Dale, tell us everything you know about Quibi. Go.
Okay, Quibi is a format. That's right. So let me do a Quibi real fast. So Quibi is apparently a platform where videos are 10 minutes or less. Except that I went to go download Quibi about a week ago, and it said you can download the app, but there's nothing to watch on it yet. So I don't know if they're in beta testing or if they're going to have a launch soon. It is
officially done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I'm in my 1 month of my 3 months free membership.
Okay, well, cool. Then I guess I need to hop over and start watching.
And there's
that
still
because I
nothing
downloaded
on
right
it, by the
before.
way.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Apple
Disney.
TV.
Yeah, I was saying it's
Exactly.
Disney Plus with less stuff on it. Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's a format where the whole idea is everything's only told in 10-minute increments for the more modern crowd that has kind of a less of an attention span. People that what is a bird? Anyway, whatever I was talking about. There you go.
And is it worth it? I think should be the next question. And I'm going to say no, maybe not yet. How about that?
So do you have to? It's a subscription. How much is it per month?
I don't know.
$7,000.
$7,000 a month, but they give you the first 3 months free. So I'm in my 3-month free trial. As soon as the 3 months ends, I'm out.
Let me tell you something. CISO was great. It was all comedy. They even had bajillion-dollar properties on there.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
$1.99 a month, 50 cents a week. Or maybe it was $3.99. It's $1 a week. Couldn't make it work. And Quibi seems like if I'm only getting, a third of the episode length.
Yeah.
Well, they better not be charging me more than $1.99 a month.
They're like 11, episodes per season, just like a regular, streaming network or whatever.
No.
It's like if you're giving me 6 or 10 minutes of the show, at least make more episodes.
I can see that, yeah.
That's a whole nother thing, though. That's a whole nother podcast.
Now we're back up to 22 episodes, just like we were on network television again.
Looping back around to Reno 911. Let's start with how we kind of came about finding Reno 911. Obviously, this was a long time ago. Some of our brains don't work as well as others, so you can make up a story that you like. But Del, when was the first time you saw or heard about Reno 911?
I actually heard it advertised, and I recognized Thomas Lennon and Kerry Kinney. I, for some reason, did not recognize Grant because the mustache he has, just like Super Troopers, giant mustache completely throw me off. Ron Swanson, same thing. Oh, it just completely throws me. And I thought, oh, cool. I remember them. I'll give the show a shot. And then I missed like the entire first season. But I jumped in like partway through the second season, and it was fantastic. And so I went back and started watching the show over again.
Excellent. Michael, how about you? Do you remember when you first came in love with the 7 wonderful police officers from Reno?
I don't remember the exact moment, but I might have been at my friend's house. I didn't have cable during this time. So I must have been at his house, and we were flipping through channels and must have seen it. And I'm like, what is it? Because I always like cop parodies and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah. I was doing that in high school. And so I don't know, maybe it caught my attention. I just remember loving every episode I saw. I never watched it. I never binged it, but I remember thinking this is great, and then I just couldn't get enough of it.
I was at a friend's house who did something that I shall not mention, but I was there for that specific reason. He was a big Comedy Central fan. Every time I went over there, he had Comedy Central on. I believe we were watching an episode of The Chappelle Show, and then Reno 911 came on, and I was like, oh, I'm in love. From here on out, this is genius. Between the shorts, I think the shorts is really what sells it.
Yeah, no, it really does, yeah.
Well, that's at least the first physical, joke in the whole thing, because that's a reoccurring bit with Dangle, just wearing those Daisy Duke short shorts as a police officer. He's got to be fast, like a cheetah, like a sexy, sexy cheetah.
That's right. Have to be able to move, get the little legs going. That is good stuff. Okay, so the early stuff of Reno 911, as I recall, and I may be making this up, this is bro science, as you will, was not very well received. I don't think that it had a great following when it first came out. It kind of took a little bit of time for people to latch on to this. Am I wrong? Am I right?
I think you can tell in the pilot it's a little more disjointed. You can tell that it's a little more hodgepodge and patchwork, a little more ad hoc. Whereas, by season 3, where most shows start hitting their stride, they had started coming up with long-form character arcs. Of course, they'd cut away to a funny joke, but by then they had also established, a number of comedians that had known the show that were like Dan Marino or the gay guy who's always in roller skates, Nick Swanson or Swartzen,
yep.
the same comedian, yeah. And by then, other people, Charlie Day and his wife, were in one of the shows. So they were able to start pulling bigger names, and I think that also made it a lot stronger as well. Because if you notice in the first season, they're blurring a lot of the faces. Those are just the same cops playing other actors. Like exactly. The hooker is clearly Kerry Kinney,
Yeah.
But it looks great doing it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Michael, so this is one of those kind of shows where I'm sure that there is some improv going on behind the scenes. Give us what you think your personal rating. It doesn't have to be mine because I have my own personal rating. Okay. All-time kind of shows like this. Where does it kind of rank in that pantheon of great improv 30-minute sitcoms?
Good question. First thing that comes to mind, but this is not really improv, but I kind of humor-wise put it in the same level. Like Arrested Development. I enjoy Arrested Development's a little bit more smarter humor and wittier, right? But Reno 911 for me is in that same humor type that I can enjoy it. I can get all the little subtle jokes, and I don't know. I like that. I don't know about other improv shows, but like Curb Your Enthusiasm, maybe on that same plane there. But I'm not a huge Curb fan, so I don't know.
I'm not either, but I like what you talked about with the subtleties that they have in here.
Yeah,
and that sets it apart from a lot of the regular Comedy Central shows at this time. Del, what do you have any shows that you might want to think about and put it in the pantheon? Is it number 4? You look like it's a number 4.
No, it would definitely be lower than that. I mean, I love the show, but I probably wouldn't put in my top 10 best comedies ever. It just doesn't. It's not strong enough. There's some really funny jokes, but there's never some like with Arrested Development. There's jokes that you have to wait episodes to pay off, even seasons to pay off.
Sometimes even years, because you got to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get it now.
Now that's a show that the writing really takes it to a whole other level. I mean, I am a fan of things like Park and Rec and 30 Rock, and so those are a little higher. And I love Curb, but again, that show's not written. That's just straight improv.
Right.
So, I'd probably put it in the top 20, but not the top 10.
Fair enough. I like that as well. I also would not put it in the top 10, but I wouldn't say anything mean about it because, we're just
it's still a funny show. Yeah.
Right.
We're just one Kevin Bacon away from Thomas Lennon now that we've got Michael on the show. So we got to be nice.
Oh, that's right.
We got to be very thoughtful. So let's dive into this first episode. Again, it's titled Pilot. Del, do you have just a brief overview of kind of what we're looking at in this first episode?
Well, really, it's mainly an introduction to all the characters and quickly kind of how they relate to each other throughout this first one. So you find out that Cedric Yarbrough, or Jones, the large black cop, is kind of favored by all the women and even Officer Dangle. It's established Officer Dangle is at least bisexual, if not just straight gay. He pulls over a guy very much in the same short shorts. And they end
for
up
an hour
on the side of the road. Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic. Oh yeah, I forget the time code shows. Yeah, they're there for an entire hour on the side of the road. It's established, was it Clementine? Is a former dancer. Kind of hinted that she might have been a prostitute or pole dancer. And so you really just get this is and everybody kind of talks shit about everybody else on the crew too, with the exception again about Jones, where everybody seems to really like him. So this kind of serves as you get cops, cops, you know what it is. This pilot didn't really need to set up world building. It didn't need to set up the premise. It just needed to set up how these characters interact and who's in charge. Dangle. When they start off with the morning briefings, right then that kind of shows the dynamic. And by the end of the episode, you get who everybody is and how they're kind of related to each other and what they think. And I think that's really all they need to do in a show like this.
Yeah, how much of a disaster everybody's life is, that's for sure. I love the way that they use the costumes or the outfits to be able to kind of tell you a little bit about the character. Some of them are less subtle, like Clementine's boobs always seem to be hanging out. That's kind of part of her thing.
Not very subtle, by the way. That's the first thing I noticed.
It's like the Thomas Lennon shorts. They're
right,
just out there in your face.
Right.
Well, and Carrie Kinney's outfit is always, it's very male-ish and sloppy. So they intentionally dress her up. One of my favorite lines is because she talks about her and Lieutenant Dangle. And she's like, we're like brother and sister, but brothers and sisters who have sex.
Right.
And then it cuts to some other people talking shit about her. And Lieutenant Dangle's like, look, she's a very unfortunate looking woman. There's nothing anybody can say about that. And, but yeah, it's very clear that it looks like they gave her male clothes. Jones is in a tighter outfit, so he's a little more ripped. But you're right. Each outfit kind of indicates some trait about the character.
As well, not the extras, but the other characters that we get to see in the first episode have some amazing outfits and some amazing backstories. I do think that the boob lady, I'm going to call her that,
TT.
There you go. I think she was my favorite, though there was many to choose from in this first episode.
Yeah, but they were just clearly, I mean, they were obviously, I would think they were fake, but maybe she was like, I'm not going to bra this and I'm just going to go out. But they hang down almost just about poking out under her shirt. She's this larger black woman and she's running around just kind of being a little bit crazy, crackhead, screaming. But when she grabs the nightstick, she's running away, but she turns around and poses with it. And they're like, do not pose for a picture. Do not pose. That killed me. Like that was just so absurd. But those giant titties just flopping around as she screamed was great physical comedy.
Michael, how far do you think she got in the cop car before they caught her and got her out of that thing?
Oh, it was It was probably not even a mile down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could just see those two chasing after, just running. Stop! She can't steer that wheel with the boobs that she has going.
Yeah, I'll say
No.
none of them are very good at keeping their weapons, their cars, their vehicles. Lieutenant Dangle loses his bike, hands his gun off to somebody on the side of the road to let him play with it.
It's like everyone's
they
phone
lose a
of
cop
Barney
car and a
Fife.
club. Yeah, exactly. They're all Barney Fife. You're right. Yeah.
Which is great.
There was also, I believe we talked about earlier, one of the hookers was one of the same characters, but I love the fact that they blurred that out. Obviously, it had to because she was the same, but I just kind of thought that was a little extra something that just made me laugh. That was a very much of a Cops homage because they do that so much with the people on Cops.
Which makes me wonder, is TT played by somebody on the show and they just had a really good voice, and really changed it up? I mean, if that's Cedric Yarbrough, even though he's playing another part in the scene, oh man, hands down. Or if that's Tom Lennon, playing that big black woman, I would love it.
Oh my goodness. If only that could be. All right, here's my next question for you guys. Switching a little bit on this. I'm going to throw a topic out to you, Michael. Let's see what you think about it. Would this show, Reno 911, be better as a movie?
No.
Easy answer. Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't think it would
movie?
be, just because I think it works well in very small segments. And that's why I also think it works well on Quibi or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I'll say when I saw it as a movie called Super Troopers, it was great, but it was just a totally different cast and a totally different story in a totally different city. But yeah, I very much liken this to kind of Super Troopers. It's a blend between that and Cops. But I think this particular group, improv actors that have all especially know each other and work together, I think the half-hour format works much better than an hour and a half, 90-minute long scripted show. I don't know. But then again, maybe they could have taken their funniest parts and just made one really good movie. But I mean, 6 seasons, that'd be hard to cram down into one movie.
It's got to be like a 90-minute SNL skit, It works well.
Well, didn't they
in 2 or 3 minutes.
do a movie?
They did
exactly what I was going to
movies,
say.
yeah. And that's why they don't usually work. Oh, you mean Reno? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did a made-for-TV
I never
movie.
saw it, but
And that's the
Did you,
thing is
Matt?
I never saw it.
Yes, I have seen it. Reno 911 Miami, I believe is what it was called. But yeah, I thought it was good, but I would rather it as a show. I mean, it is a kind of a bite. Everything becomes kind of repetitive in a movie form.
right.
I have a lot of places to go.
Well, and you got to have character arcs. You got to have motifs. You got to have set design. You got to have, and you just throw a bunch of comedic actors and silly outfits and crazy scenarios together. That'll only sustain itself about 30, 45 minutes. You don't need anything longer than that. Or otherwise, you really do have to start delving into these characters' personal lives and their growth. And I don't care about any of that for these people.
Yeah. I don't care about that for anybody.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you need it in short bits. And yeah, I mean, sight gags work in a sitcom, but they don't necessarily always work in a movie. They get old after a while. So how about this, Michael? One of our topics that we like to do here on the show is we like to play a little Netflix. So we give people shows that would compare to Reno 911 that you can also watch. So less about what we were talking about earlier with the improv stuff. It can be any type of genre. This can be compared to Boston Legal if you like to. So I'm going to go to Dell first since he's kind of more prepared for this.
God,
even
no,
though he
I'm
looks
not.
confused.
That's what I am. I'm trying to think. What would I compare this to? I mean, certainly I would put it up against things like we talked about before, 30 Rock, Arrested Development, even though those are kind of scripted. But man, even things, it really does feel like Kids in the Hall. I mean, it feels like a sketch show that just happens to have cops. So I'm thinking like Kids in the Hall, The State, The Whitest Kids those are kind of my default go-tos because it really does feel like a sketch comedy show. Like you Upright Citizens Brigade would be a show that would very much feel like this. Just instead of rotating through characters, they're just maintaining the same characters. That's really the only difference.
I dig that. All right, Michael, he's giving you a little something to work with. What do you think?
Stand on the shoulders of giants.
Kind of like the Eric Andre show a little bit. That's the tone I get with it. It's kind of like, it's bizarre. It's kind of dark, but it's hilarious all the way through. And that's kind of what if I was building a network, it would be the Eric Andre show at night, and then Reno in primetime.
Love it.
I can work with that, yeah.
I can't believe Dell missed out on this one, but for me, this fits perfectly in the Fox 1990s lineup with all their banana cake shows that they were doing at the time. I feel like this would have fit in perfectly with that show about the bunny, and then our favorite show,
Bunny,
Desmond the Pfeiffer, The Invincibles.
Yeah, I could see this running around like Married with Children, even type of show where it's like a cop, because Cops was popular back then. So if this had come on at relatively the same time. I could see this being much more popular back then, especially being released on a network show, not like Comedy Central, which you have to have cable to have. If this had aired on Fox, who had Cops, right, and was a parody of Cops and ran on the Sunday night routines, I think they would have crushed it.
I like that. I don't know why none of the three of us said Cops, because that's literally the best thing to watch with this, because Cops is so absurd.
It's night and day. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Does anybody have a favorite Cops episode or incident or moment from the Cops library of 25 years or whatever?
I've forgotten. I've watched so much of that show that I've forgotten so much of the show.
I should know the answer to this because on Pluto, you have an entire Cops channel, I think.
Yes, you do.
And I just had it on the background the other day, and I watched some scene that was so bizarre, but I don't remember it. It was like yesterday, too.
I can give you the correct answer. The correct answer is one time in Philadelphia, they went to get this guy on angel dust, who was also naked. So they have to figure out how to grab this guy on angel dust. He's coming downstairs. The cops are trying to grab him. The cameraman's in the doorway, and he blows past the cameraman, almost knocks that guy over. And it was crazy. And I'll always remember that guy. That and the guy on angel dust that jumped out of the 3-story window and took off running.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. You know what else reminds me of? Ronnie Dobbs from Mr. Show. If you ever watched that on HBO, Ronnie Dobbs was the most arrested man in America, and that was a parody on Cops too. In fact, one of the best parts is one time they load Ronnie up in a car and they're driving backwards. And Ronnie sticks his head and he's like, "Hey, y'all forgot y'all's cameraman! I forgot y'all's cameraman!" But that very much was a little bit. Was that at the same time or maybe a little later? But they feel like they're right around each other. And I would put Ronnie Dobbs up there, and maybe Run Ronnie Run the movie would be another movie version of Reno 911.
All right, so we're getting towards the most important part of the episode, and that is this anybody's apex? What we are here to say is this category is about anything, whether it be the characters, the writer, the director. Is this the best that it ever was for this person or this thing? First one we'll talk about, is this Reno's apex?
Absolutely.
Well, is there other than prostitution in general? Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
I believe the movie Smoking Aces takes place in Reno. I might be lying to you, but I think
that might
so.
Be pretty good, yeah.
Right there, but it's right close. This might be Reno's number one. How about Thomas Lennon? Is this his apex mountain?
No, I'd got to say, because he wrote, Night at the Museum, which isn't the greatest movie ever, but it was wildly popular. He's huge. In everything too. He's always in every famous comedy. He plays either a B-level or C-level character,
and always
starring in it.
Hits it out of the park.
Yeah,
always.
And he's brilliant. I mean, he was fantastic on Comedy Bang Bang.
Now, but is Reno what got him to where he is today?
I would say think yes. So. Yes. What that means then also that Carrie Kennedy, that's just probably her biggest thing because she's done less after, but not only starred in this, but since she co-created it with Garant, I would say that would be her apex then. Since Garant went on though to write, hit screenplays with Lennon. Yeah. So I think definitely for sure. Clementine, I don't think I've seen in much else. Garcia, I haven't seen in much else. But Jones and Rashida, those two cops.
She's in that show on TNT, Claws, I believe.
Oh, okay. And I've seen Cedric Yarbrough in plenty of other things.
Oh, yeah.
He's an Anchorman, I think, and a few other things. But I think Thomas Lennon is the one that took the most out of this. Yeah.
And I think it's all because, if he wouldn't be where he is today, fame-wise, I think, had it not been for Reno. Maybe he would have had another role, but that's what people mostly associate him with. So, but I agree. I think Night at the Museum was a huge deal for him, and it was a huge movie.
Well, and I think he was, as the lead I always assumed, again, he was the creator, but to find out that he's not, and they still said, who should be the captain, or the lieutenant, Tom Lennon, our old friend from the state.
Yeah.
That kind of shows you what they thought of him, too. And
right.
Dangle really is the star of the show, if there is one to be said. It's definitely.
And they're all great, but he is, There's one episode.
Steals everything he's in.
No spoilers, but there's one episode on Quibi that he's not even in. And I'm like, that's a little disappointing. I mean, I spent my 6 minutes. I could have been doing something else for 6 minutes. You know what I mean?
He's right there for the birth of his child, and you're like, what an asshole.
Right, yeah. What are you doing?
The other most important question we need to find out is, is this the apex mountain for short shorts?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I haven't seen the Quibi, so... But yeah, considering the scenes can only be 2 minutes long sometimes, and it's just dealing with just an asinine character. Because even in Cops, they had to draw it out and put drama in there. In this, they just got to get the jokes and get out.
But you're talking about actual shorts, right?
Yes, I was talking about Thomas Lennon's shorts. Is this Apex Mountain for Daisy Dukes? And obviously not, because it's called Daisy Dukes.
Daisy Dukes. Yeah, I would say Daisy Dukes are still a little more famous. But the Lennon Dukes, I think, are pretty good up there, too. The Tommy Dukes. I like those.
Yeah, is it the apex of a man officer wearing shorts?
And the answer would be no.
Yes.
No, well, maybe officer, but as a man, no, because Richard Simmons.
Well, yeah. As a man would officer, be, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, as a man wearing those shorts, it would still have to be Richard Simmons, I think.
So I think this is pretty self-explanatory by now. We've said many good things about this. We didn't say very many bad things.
What's everybody's worst thing about the show? What's your one critique? Does anybody have one?
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but when I watched the pilot, can we just talk about the pilot?
Go for it. Yes, please.
Okay. No. So a few weeks ago, it's funny that we're doing the show now, because a few weeks ago I decided, before I even interviewed Thomas Lennon, he wasn't even on my radar.
Plug.
I was, again, it's Tiger King, the Tiger Inside Me is my podcast. Check it out.
There probably was too.
I decided I was going to go back and binge Reno because I hadn't seen it in a long time and I remember really loving it. And so I jumped back on, I opened an app, I watched the first episode, and I'm like, don't know that I'm really wanting to binge this. It was the first episode, going back and watching it was not great, in my opinion. I don't know that the show, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've never binged it, but I don't know if the show's bingeable. It's great in little short forms, but is it truly bingeable? I don't know. Maybe when you get past the first season, does it get better? By
season 3, when they're starting, all the characters have been really established, and they're able to make jokes at the characters' expense, not just some one-off jokes. It does get more solid, because that's kind of where I came in, was into season 2, season 3. And then I went back and watched them. I was like, these are weaker. But I will say, unlike some pilots, I think they established everything in the pilot, who they are, who the characters are, what to expect, what type of editing, what you're going to get. I think it was all there in the pilot. It just needed to be refined and made funnier. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a soft pass for Michael for the pilot, though. Overall, you're a fan of the show. Del, how about you? Soft pass, soft fail, soft.
I would say if I saw this and they said this was a one-time off thing, I would go, I really enjoyed it. But they said, oh, that thing that we saw that was a one-time thing, they ended up making it into a series. I'd go, good. You know what? That was funny enough to do a series for. So in that sense, I think the pilot would be successful, that if I watched one, I'd want to watch more of them if I found out there were more.
There you go. I like that. Yes, I'm going to also agree with you. Not a hard sell on this guy. I'm not saying go run out and pay any money for it. But I would say if it's free and you find it on Comedy Central and you have a login, I enjoyed it. And
I think ComedyCentral.com has a couple of seasons up for free right now. I was able to watch the whole first season. Yeah, for nothing.
Are you getting money from Comedy Central? Nobody's giving them a shout out. Come on, man.
No, but I will say this: Audible.com is one of the best places you can.
No, we do the underwear place.
That's right.
All right, guys, we've made it to the end of the episode. I just want to leave you with one more opportunity. Give us any final thoughts on Reno 911. Michael, since you are the guest, let's start over with you.
Again, just kind of coming back into it with the Quibi shows, and I'm not getting paid by Quibi to keep talking about it, but it is something that I've watched almost every single episode, and I love it. I think if you are a fan of the show, you are going to love the Quibi episodes. Everything's there. These guys look great. They look exactly how they did 11 years ago, and it's fantastic. So I really, really am enjoying. It's the best thing on Quibi. After you watch it, cancel your Quibi account. There's nothing else on there.
Yes, unless they bring some other show on, but yeah.
Right.
Like if they got Billions Dollar Properties back on there, I'd probably jump back on for that. But that's just
good
the one
too.
show I missed.
Flipp's a good show on there. Flipped. It's with Will Forte and
I love Will Forte. So
the girl from Always Sunny. D.
Oh, Kate Olsen. Yeah. She's great. All right. Well, I think that's so as a recommend though for everybody, I'm gonna say yes.
Absolutely.
Pilot and show, absolutely recommend.
I concur with you. And with that,
there you go. That's 3 geniuses agreeing. So that we basically have to be right on that.
Or all wrong. Who will know? You will find out yourself whenever you watch the show. For our show, we are wrapping it up for now. Pilot Pass. This was Reno 911. A lot of fun. Thank you, Michael, very much for coming on and being our guest for the day. Listen to Michael's MZ Now. You can check that out on all the places that you find podcasts. Follow him on the social medias. He would love to talk to you. He talks to everybody, just as long as they say nice things to him.
That's right.
Dell, nobody wants to talk to you either.
I was going to say, but I'd love to talk to other people. I'm desperate to have friends. And you two cost so much per month. I don't know if I can afford it.
By the way, you're late on last month's bill. So
that's, yeah. So I'm also late in another sense too. And I got to talk to the boyfriend about that.